Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Reach Podcast Show with LeVar Ellis, where every show reaches beyond the ears of the listeners. Guys, we are excited today. As you can see on screen, I have Mr. Freddie E. Taylor, an amazing, knowledgeable guest. We're going to share some great information, understanding the things that he is sharing with not only our community now, but his community. Get connected with urban intellectuals and understand the things that he's bringing to the table, because 5 minutes a day keeps what away?
Miseducation away.
Absolutely. So, brother, I really appreciate you coming and being on the show. So I thank you for being present today.
No problem. I appreciate you having me, brother.
Absolutely. And so what we're going to get into, we're going to try to make this quick, as I do every week. We definitely want to thank the show sponsors. And also, you guys, of course, the Reach Podcast Show is powered by none other than Dad Chronicles, which is my nonprofit. So you guys go and check out the website, see all the things that we have going on. It's going to be updated later in this week, so you guys can be caught up. But with the show sponsors, none other than the Joseph Consulting Firm. I appreciate you guys, my girl Candace Joseph, that whole team over there. And happy anniversary to the Joseph Consulting Firm. Those guys are celebrating the anniversary over this past week. So if you have any business ideas, any business acumen that you want to sharpen up, or just things that you need advice on or consulting on, definitely reach out to Joseph Consulting Firm, and they can get you guys hooked up and handled. Secondly, I'd like to thank another company, which is the Executive Suite. This is the pill alternative. So if you have any type of illnesses or issues that you have to take pills for, definitely get with the Executive Suite, because they are the alternative to pills. Using oils, using lotions, using candles, using all kind of things, CBD infused products, they can definitely get you connected with better solutions than taking pills and learn the journey. And shout out to my girl Kevia Jones, who's the CEO of Executive Suite. And then lastly, none other than the World Youth Foundation, Miss Karen. These guys, we are the heartbeat of the city. Everything as it pertains to community service, we're definitely involved. And if we're not involved, we're going to get involved. So we are definitely bringing the knowledge to the kids, helping them advance outside of the classroom, taking them beyond testing and exposing them to things where they have choices in life. That's what it's all about. So join us also every second Saturday for YIP Saturdays. We have an amazing event coming up this March 13th, which is the second Saturday. Like I said, just click the link or get connected by going to the website, get your kid registered, and you can also be part of our virtual space if you can't make it out. Of course, our monthly meetings, they fill up quick. We are also COVID responsible, I would say, and so we don't want to have too many people involved, but we also make sure that you guys can join us via the Zoom and via our virtual space. So definitely shout out to all those guys and all those companies. And since it's Black History Month, I have to say what's up to my men over at the Black Store in Houston, Texas, off of Pelham. Wait, let me make sure I get it right. Scott in Airport. Shout out to my man Lloyd and my man Randy over there. Those guys are doing some amazing things, and they definitely do things to help the community. So make sure you go and check them out. I believe at the end of this month, they're having a movie night. But just go over there for all your needs. And this is the true essence of supporting the Black business. Those guys are doing some amazing things. And for ladies and for men, it's not just for you. So ladies, it's not just for you. Men, it's not just for you. Them guys have a barbershop. They have a nail salon. They have agriculture in the back. They have platforms where you can provide music and do music and view music and just be in a peaceful place. So big ups to my men over there at the Black Store. So I just wanted to make sure I shout out to them, of course, with this being Black History Month and all the things they're doing over there. So go check them out and tell them the Reach Podcast Show sent you, and they'll take care of you guys. But Mr. Freddie E. Taylor, this is my guest for the day. I definitely want to, again, say thank you for being here. But what we want to do right now is we want to bring in our spoken word artist of the day. For this morning, I'm not going to say for the day, because we're going to have three. We're going to have three amazing individuals at certain segments of the show. But right now, I want to bring in a young lady who goes by the name of Duchess Pendragon. So we appreciate you being here with us this morning, young lady. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, blessed. How are y'all?
We're doing great. We're doing great. So for everybody that's watching, everybody that's viewing, oh, and let me mention too, you can find us right now live on Facebook, on YouTube, and if you want to catch a playback, you can go to Anchor or Spotify after the show, and you can catch the playback. But we're featuring spoken word artists, which are just poets that have the desire to let their words be heard and, let their hearts be felt as it relates to Black history. So, Ms. Pendragon, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and talk about your piece, and we'll let you get going.
Okay. Greetings to you all. My name is Duchess Pendragon. I am a spoken word artist. I work really, really hard to turn what I consider life into art. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Duchess Pendragon. I've released an album called A Tour of Love's Notes. And then there's the project Say Their Names that I'm gonna spit for y'all today. And then there's another project coming out based on a wonderful film that I hope everybody has watched, One Night in Miami. I'm just doing it a little bit different. It'll be a basis of basically one night in Houston. And it'll be all Black women. So powerful Black women doing what we do, right, in the world of art. So the piece that I'm giving you today is called Say Their Names. It's a piece that I released earlier this year. Well, last year. I released it last year. The project is on my Facebook page. It's on my Instagram. I will send it to you so y'all can see it. It's one of my favorite pieces. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to go ahead and get into it, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I saw a Black man die today. 8:46. Watched every second slowly tick. The words, I can't breathe, etched in American history again. And there aren't enough words in pick a language to express this dismay, but God, I'm telling you, I'm tired. I watched a Black boy cry today. Chest heaving, lips gasping, tears steadily flowing, scared, crackless, but asking the question, will my daddy be next? Because 7 shots caught on camera, not resisting, no weapons found, and still no arrests. I watched people make excuses today for how Breonna Taylor deserved what she got, because how could sleeping peacefully in your own bed get you shot? But hey, when no-knock warrants clash with our Second Amendment rights, combined with my melanated skin, punctuated with cops shooting without line of sight, I'll let you connect those dots, right? But my grandmother, she promised me, she said, baby girl, baby, we're past it. And I got to grow up in white suburban neighborhoods because my parents were the ones that integrated. Yet 2020 is seeing freedom marches like the 1960s, and the Black lives that have always mattered are still screaming for some type of equality. And I would tell you to say their names. But 2 realities stop me. 1, we don't know them all. And 2, there's too dadgum many. So God, I know that you can hear me crying out to you, telling you that I'm tired, and I know that I can't afford to be, so I'll let you in the silence say the rest of this for me. Duchess Pendragon.
Absolutely. Mr. Freddie, I'll let you go first, brother.
Yeah, that was powerful, sister. That was powerful. I was thinking right at the end, I was so sure thinking, yeah, it's just too many. It's just too many to name, too many to know. And the struggle continues, right? Like you talked about integration. I love the history of it all. And it's just really powerful. I think your voice like gives me chills, right? Like it's
Yeah.
that, like you can feel the pain and the struggle in your voice. So it was just a great presentation. I loved it. I loved it a lot. That was awesome.
Yeah, Duchess, you already know I was excited about you being on today. You know, I couldn't put up the flyer on here, but y'all can go and check it out on my Facebook page. It just speaks to, you know, everything you were just speaking, and I appreciate you reaching out and telling me you want to be part of this, and I'm glad we finally got to this point. So you guys definitely go and look at the bottom of the screen, follow Ms. Duchess Pendragon on Facebook and on Instagram, and those tags are there at the bottom of the screen, sister. So you can stay connected with us. We're going to get moving on so we can get into the meat of everything, and then we're going to bring on a few other poets throughout the day. But I thank you very, very, very much. All right.
She got me fired up, brother.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And shout out to everybody that's listening. And Linda Montgomery, that's my mother right there, man. So, Mom, I see you watching, and you said, "Wow, snap, snap." So that's just, I hope you see that right now. Mom is definitely tuned in. So let's get down to it, Mr. Freddie E. Taylor, brother. Again, welcome, 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 and let my listeners know, you know, why we should be listening to you today.
Okay, I appreciate you. Appreciate you having me, man. And shout out to Mama for showing up, being the #1 supporter. That's what's up.
Absolutely.
My mama was the same way, boy. I love it. I love it. You gotta appreciate it. Yeah, so my name is Freddie Taylor. I'm the CEO and founder of Urban Intellectuals. We make it fun and easy to learn Black history. We do that with a series of historical education products designed to write the Black community back into the pages of world history and back into the hearts and the minds of our community. We like to say we make it fun and easy because we make it fun because we have engaging products that are entertaining and enjoyable, but while they're learning the lessons, but we make it easy for parents, administrators, teachers, grandparents, because we've done all the research for you. We know that you don't have time to go looking up all the sourcing of the information, so we've done all that and created it and put everything into a fun, engaging format for you and your children to enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I guess now's a good time we could talk about, you know, explain the connection between Urban Intellectuals and the Sankofa Club, and just go a little bit into the 5-day challenge, you know, and the 5 minutes a day keeps the miseducation away. You know, I did that, I think it was last week. No, that was a freeze. It was the week before. We had the horrible freeze here. So it was about 2 weeks ago. And of course, no lie, you know, I have to be honest, I couldn't keep up every day, man. But the thing about it is, if you get connected, he gonna remind you. You're gonna get the emails, you're gonna get the text, you're gonna get everything you need. And if you have the time, there's absolutely no excuse to miss anything, you know. So I definitely want to do that again, and I'm tapped in and connected for when you're doing that again. So yeah, talk about that a little bit.
All right, well, Urban Intellectual is really our umbrella company, right? So like I said, we make it fun and easy to learn Black history. That's our focus. That's our passion. That's what we do. But our first product was the Black History flashcards. So we have a series of flashcards that we created to start fulfilling the mission of making it fun and easy to learn Black history. But the flashcards are pretty limiting, right? Like they only go so far. There's literally 125 words on the back of each flashcard talking about an important figure or a moment in history, which, you know, our history is each individual history is far too vast for 125 words, right? So we need the conversation to go further and deeper. And more importantly, we need to put this into our children. So going beyond the flashcards, we created the Sankofa Club, which Sankofa is an interesting word because it comes out of the Twi language of Ghana, which literally means go back and get it. And so that's kind of like the passion behind what we're doing, because we want to go back into our history. We want to go back into our past, and we want to uncover the truth and bring that along with us into the future, right? You can't know where you're going unless you know where you've been. So it's that kind of mentality. And even the bird, the Sankofa bird, is really interesting because it walks in one direction with its feet forward, but his head is turned backwards, representing again the past to go back and get it. It's just a mythical bird. It's not an actual bird, right? So inside the Sankofa Club, we reach specifically out to parents and try to get into the hearts and the minds of the children. This is a part of our initiative of our Raising Proud Black Children initiative. But the Sankofa Club is a Black history program where we have Black history training throughout the month, excuse me. So we have 4 teachers on staff that teach Black history Monday through Friday inside of the Sankofa Club for our members. In addition, we have monthly printables and activities to go along with the lessons to kind of reinforce it. So there's fun stuff though, like mazes and puzzles and hide and seek, like all types of games and interactions inside of the club, again, to make it fun and easy to learn Black history. But while they're, solving a word search or something, instead of looking for microscope, they're looking for Lewis Latimer. So it's information about different individuals throughout history and all centered around, again, our history and our culture. And we do that inside of the Sankofa Club, which is, like I said, it's a monthly membership program that goes beyond the flashcards. We start to get granular and get deeper into our history. And then you refer to our challenge, which is our Raising Proud Black Children Challenge. The one that you were in was Our History Started Before Slavery, which is a tremendous point that I try to pound all day, that we have to go past slavery to understand that our people are not just the descendants of slaves, but our people have contributed much to humanity, right? So I always say Black history is world history. It's not just history for Black people. This is the history of the world, right? Black history is world history. So we utilize our challenges and the Raising Proud Black Children movement to kind of teach some of the lessons that we parrot inside of the Sankofa Club. And one of those you made mention of is 5 minutes a day keeps the miseducation away, because that's really at the heartbeat of what we're doing, because we understand that you don't have to get a 2-hour lecture from your parents or from your teacher in order to learn Black history, but small bursts of information is not only powerful, but it's effective to keeping the children's attention, keeping them interested, and not to drive you crazy because you're trying to figure out, what do I teach them next? Like, okay, it's just one simple short lesson, and you put that information in them, and it really changes the trajectory of the children's lives.
Absolutely, man. And that is just so awesome, man. Just big ups. I mean, you got my mind everywhere right now. So just big ups to you and salute to you for doing that. But before we get too far into it, there's a story behind why you did this, because you have your own kids. If you can give us a little background on yourself and how that birthed what you're doing at this point.
Yeah, I got two main drivers. Well, I guess three really. But the main driver behind my interest in history, period, is my father. My father was born in 1929. Big ups to them, because he was 46 when I was born. My mom was 40. I'll be 45 this year, and I couldn't imagine about to have a newborn, right? So shout out to them for letting me come through into this world.
Right.
Having a father so much older than me was really interesting, because, he's literally walking history, right? Like, he's literally have seen and experienced some of the things that we talk about on a daily basis. Some of the strife that the sister was just giving us her great poetry on, and enduring the integration of, the school districts. Like, he was all involved in all of this physically with his life. And he used to always talk to me religiously, really, about our history and how important it is to understand where we've been and to respect the work that the ancestors have done, because these are the shoulders that we stand on. So I got that throughout my whole childhood, through adolescence and all that good stuff. But of course, like most children, I wasn't listening, right? Like, I kind of engaged, but it wasn't like I can't say like, oh man, when I was 7, I just knew I was going to build a Black history-based company. Like, nah, that's not it at all. But once I got to college, I started having different conversations. I met different people. I met brothers and sisters from the nation. I met the 5 percenters. I met just a whole lot of different people from all over the African diaspora, and just starting to become aware of the importance of our history and our culture and our contributions and the things that it does and how it motivates you. And I remember being in, I have an MBA, right? So like 1999, 2000, God, that was a long time ago. But I was getting my MBA, and I took this history of economics course. And this might be the course in the defining moment that really kind of like put the seed of Black history in me. But we were writing papers like you do in graduate school, right? So we had like a 35 page paper to write on a historical moment. And this white professor, of course, I'm the only Black person in the class. I shouldn't say, of course. I went to a PWI, but I was, right? And this white professor was like, Freddie, now the year is 1999. He says, Freddie, you should write your paper on Black Wall Street. And I was like, Black Wall Street, like, what's that? You know what I mean? Like, again, you got to think 1995, the internet's like 5 years old. Nobody's, you're not walking around with computers in your hand, you know, just surfing the net all day, right? So it's a different life. So, you know, I did my research and I was blown away by the information, right? Like most people are familiar with Tulsa, Oklahoma and Black Wall Street now. And then the race riot, right? I got different terminology for that, but that happened. All right. So anyway, I was blown away by it. I was so inspired. It really led me to think, what else don't I know? If my dad has been talking to me about history my whole life and I never heard this, what else is missing? Right. So I kind of got on fire, man. I used to go to the school library and print out what I call Black History profiles and pass them out on campus. I would sell them for $0.25 just to get my print costs back. And pass them out on campus, you know, talking about Mary McLeod Bethune and Lewis Latimer and like all of these people, Frederick Douglass, and I was just on fire, right? Like I'm just literally on fire about all this. 99, then, so, you know, life goes on. I graduated, but in 99, my wife and I had our first child. And then 2003, we had our second child. And from there, you know, I got to see the school system a second time, but this time from the eyes of a parent. And y'all know what it is, like, you know, especially you got children. I just couldn't believe that they were telling the same lies and giving the same misinformation that they were given 20, 30 years prior when I was growing up, right? Like in the 80s. And it's like, how are they still telling these same lies, right? Like, and it just really started bothering me. And as my children got older, you know, I would tell them, hey, here's the truth. And that's what they say you should put. You can put the answer that they want, or you can tell the truth. And then when they mark it wrong, let me come deal with the teachers, right? Because I like me, brother. Right. And we're very involved parents. So like that's a really important feature of our lives.
Say that again. That's the key, being an involved parent.
Man, very involved. If you want to squeal into the parental talk, man, if you think I'm passionate about this history, you ought to hear my talks on parenting, right?
Right.
Because I mean that it makes all the difference in the world. If you're involved, teachers respect you, the principal respects you, the administrators respect you, and they want to help. I genuinely believe that most of these people are not just out to get a paycheck. You don't become a teacher trying to get rich. That's not the motivation, right? And you know, like your positioning changes people's perception of you and it changes their attitudes towards you. So if you come in and say, my children need, and you know, you're yelling and fussing and cussing and like, how do you think they're going to react? But if you come in and say, hey, what do y'all need? Oh, I heard there was a field trip going on. Let me sign up. Let me be involved. Let me join the PTA. My wife and I, we both did our 10 years individually. Both of us, you know, on the PTA, she was the board member. Like we were actively involved. I'm on all the field trips. I'm at all the events. I knew everybody in the school from the janitor to the superintendent. We're like super involved, right? I believe in that, right? I got a little off, but yeah. So
it's all good. Look, I'm thinking my oldest kid is 21, and I'm sorry, my oldest kid is 21, and I'm thinking about walking in her school, and everybody from the time you walk in the door, hey, Mr. Ellis, you know this, that, and the other. And I mean, that's another story. We'll talk about that another time.
I mean, but it's all related, right? Because really, at the core, what at least the organization is about, we're about raising proud Black children. So, and this takes a holistic effort. Not even just you, it takes the community, right? The stakeholders in the community. To be pouring into to pour into the schools, to pour into the mentoring programs. You got all your nonprofits. You got to support these young people at every angle that we can get. So I applaud what you're doing. I think it's amazing. I don't know how you got that many hours in a day. That's unbelievable. But you know, but just being involved in the school is really critically important. But just seeing that education and what they're teaching just kind of did something to me. And I found myself saying, somebody should. And then one day I became somebody, right? So yeah, that's kind of how I got started. Those are like the key motivators, the key drivers, my dad and my children, seeing the educational system in its poor state when it comes to including us, I'll say that.
So being somebody who's definitely taken the bull by the horns, as they say, what else would you say to someone who may be experiencing the same thing on any level, whether it's, you know, whatever their issue is, and they're that person that's saying, man, somebody should, what did it take for you, like you said, to become that somebody? Or what would you tell that person right now that's listening or that will hear this later? What would you speak to them to become that person? You know, because I think about it and it's like, man, let's just do it. You know, I'm the type of person, I'm just a doer. You know, I don't put a lot of thought into it. I put my emotion behind it. And I know you got to do it a certain way, but what would you say to that individual?
Yeah, man. I mean, we must be birds of the same feather. You know, birds of a feather flock together, right? Because you just got to do it, right? In order to create something, you got to get started, and you got to understand. You got to get over your perfectionism, right? Mm-hmm. So we spend so much time in the laboratory tweaking and thinking and reading and studying and trying to perfect something, thinking you're gonna float it out there and it's just gonna work because you spent all of this time putting into it. You could spend one day or 1 year working on the same plan. When you put it out into the world, it's going to need massive revisions. I don't care what it is and what you're trying to do. It's going to take massive iterations to get it to a place where you actually are proud and respected, right? But if you never get started, then that idea just dies along with you when you pass, right? And those are the moments that you want to avoid. So you got to get over the fear of getting it wrong. You got to get over the fear of what other people might think. You got to get over the fear of worrying about how people are viewing you. Like, tune them out, get serious about what you're doing, and launch into that path. I'll give a story about that because now Urban Intellectuals is this thing, right? Like it's actually a brand, and it's like we're out there and we're reaching people who sell hundreds of thousands of decks of flashcards sold all around the world. Like, we're doing our thing. But there was the majority of the time while I was doing this, when nobody knew, you know, the success of it, or before it even kind of took off, people thought I was crazy. You know, people was like, why don't you go get a job? You got a master's degree. You got, you know, an MBA, you're intelligent, you ran these other businesses or whatever. What? I don't understand. Like, go get a job. And I'm like, that's your dream. Don't put that on me. But of course, now it is what it is. And they're like, man, I remember when you was like, people not going to get on your bandwagon until you pull it off. Until you build it, they will not get on your bandwagon. So don't look for them to get on. You got to cheerlead yourself and be bold and audacious, man. Most people lack action. That's really the crux of the matter. Most people are just talking. They don't take action. So that's why it's so easy when you take action. Like all the things that you're doing, brother. And like you say, I just started taking action. The reason it's so easy is because most people sitting back talking. They're not doing that. So you really, your competition is really small. It's only a handful of us out here actually taking action, right?
And that was my thing, man. You know, and it's all about who you surround yourself with. I am finding more that there are more people that are actually of the same heart, and everybody has a different role, right? So they don't want to be that person. You know, they want to help you, but they don't want to be that person to do it. So to all those warriors or all those doers out there, man, just take action. You know, don't doubt yourself. Listen to what Mr. Freddie said, because that's just something that I do, is just jump out there and get behind it and take the action. And, you know, you're going to have the ups and downs, man. I mean, that's just going to happen. Like you said, you got to revise everything. And I think it's important to basically tie it back to what you said. And what you push is that it only takes 5 minutes to learn, you know, but just repeatedly doing it. You know, what's 5 minutes? You're not going to get everything you need, but the repetition to just keep talking about it. So that ties into when you start something, hey, you might have to retweak it. Just keep retweaking and keep it going. You know, that's my thought behind it. But I have to do my due diligence, and I apologize because I normally start the show, and when I get a bio, I want to make sure that everybody gets to hear it. So if you don't mind, you've introduced yourself a little bit, but I have to read this bio. But it says, Mr. Freddie, visionary, entrepreneur, and philanthropist. Just a few words to describe Freddie E. Taylor, founder and CEO of Urban Intellectuals. Spurred by the lack of Black history instructions that his sons received in grammar school, Freddie knew the onus was on him to create a new narrative of Black culture. In 2009, Urban Intellectuals was born. Initially, Urban Intellectuals, which is also UI, was an online hub for Black media that now boasts over 1 million Facebook fans, a mobile app, and its own social media network. Today, the company has several products, including the renowned Black History flashcards, which is what we've been talking a little bit about, UI is aggressively taking a role in engaging, educating, and empowering people who are curious and passionate about the African diaspora. To date, over 300,000 Black History flashcards have been sold and featured in Essence, HuffPost, CBS Chicago, Good Morning Washington, Milwaukee PBS, and Sister Circle on TV One. Additionally, UI joined enjoyed a 2019 Black History collaborative with JetBlue featuring the flashcards of JFK, New York, and Newark airports. That is a feat and an accomplishment, man. So salute to you on that. I mean, how does that make you feel? Because that was the other thing I wanted to talk about. Like, we know what we do, right? But then when somebody speaks up honest, it's like, man, I did all that, you know.
Yeah.
What is your position? I mean, do you take a pause and do you really think about it and understand? Because the point of this, the segment that we're doing is called, Are You Making Black History, right? So you are a person who's making Black history. And so do you stop and actually think about 200 years from now, they're going to be talking about Freddie E. Taylor?
Wow, I've never thought about that, but the mastermind that I'm in, they force us to slow down and take assessment of your wins while you're going, right? Because it's really the fuel that keeps motivating you. So I have slowed and thought about it, but there's so much more that's coming, and there's so much that we have planned that I can't slow down too long and rest on our laurels. It's just too much work to be done.
Right.
We got so many more millions of people and families to reach with this information. Because again, I think the information is life changing. I don't look at history as this thing for us to just know. I look at history, Black history in particular, as the world's greatest motivational book. That's still being written. And if you listen to me talk, you hear me say, I'm not a historian. I'm just an enthusiast that utilizes history and culture to inspire and motivate people. Because the stories, like just the people like behind me, just the people in our history and our culture, they live such incredible lives that if we take that information and actually learn it and be inspired by the story, not knowing all of the dates, not knowing how many people went to X, Y, and Z, but the essence of the stories are so uplifting and empowering, they can change adults' lives. So if the children get it, it'll change the trajectory of their lives. So like we love to say that we're changing the world.
Right.
We want to change the world one child at a time, and we want to start with yours. Right? Because this information, I can go into the studies and all of this stuff, but studies show that children who grow up knowing their history and their culture and having a connection to it, they do better in school, they do better in college, they do better in professions, they're better family men, they're better mentors, they're better community people, they're just better. So why wouldn't we want to inject our children with this type of inspiration and passion? So I appreciate the fact that we are making history, but I'll be even more satisfied in 20, 30 years when the young people that are growing up in our programs, that are growing up with our Black History flashcards, start to really move and change the world. Then I'll really start to take a bow and be really excited by what they're going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I can't wait to get into the things that you have for us today, and definitely look forward to being tied to you for the things that are coming. What I want to do is take a moment right now and play the audio clip I was telling you about from our other poet of the day. You guys, she is definitely very passionate. So, hopefully it doesn't offend anybody. It's nothing major, but there's a part in here where she's very passionate. We'll put it like that. But I think it's very appropriate too at the same time. So at this point, I'd like to, and this young lady was having an issue today, so she wanted to be live. She couldn't be live. So her name is Rochelle Bailey. And this young lady here is from Shreveport. So let me pull up something here and just read a little bit about her. And she wrote a piece, and it's called War, is actually what it's called. And we spoke a little bit this morning, and I told her, thank you very much for getting me that piece over. So that way we could definitely share it. And she's new to the spoken word platform, and her name is Rochelle Bailey, or Rochelle Bailey is what I should say. So born in Shreveport, Louisiana, I'm a Navy veteran of 7 years, and after the military, I worked in a few fields from inventory delivery and electrical technician and assembly technician. Now I'm going back to my first love, poetry. I've always been a poet. However, I'm a newbie to the spoken word platform. Doing spoken word for me is healing and self-discovery, a self-discovery journey to rediscover the pieces of me I lost through serving in the military. I hope that this opens up new opportunities for me and leads me toward my divine path. So obviously, she takes it very, very, very serious. And as we were doing earlier, Fred, if you don't mind, if you, when I play it, if you can just give me a thumbs up if the volume is good enough. And it's called War.
Waves amidst the revolution. Can you see it?
Uh-oh. Give me 1 second.
War. Waves amidst the revolution. Can you see it? The new wave of revolution. The new wave of Black solution. The drumming of the conscious souls, beating hard for the futures that shall unfold. Melodies of hearts like minds combined, moving to unwind those mentalities that bind the Black mind to mental enslavement. Hard to penetrate the pavement, the foundations of generations destroyed by little white lies, government spies with ties because they despise the revolution. When our people rise, we have to be unified because that's the solution. Grab a hold of these surfboards of Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and Angela Davis. It's time to take action now, because in due time, white supremacy will bow. We must be militant, accuracy like Mavis, beacon of hope, the need to break free from a society where we as melanated peoples interlope. I'm telling you, there are Farrakhan's whose purpose in life isn't to con the peoples, who can create peepholes for a melanated nation, but we can't stop it, just the ideation. Nah, see, we have to set the platform and allow them to be moved. Therefore, it would behoove of us to put aside petty theories and debates so that we can manifest ways for the greats. Come on, we got to be the example. From our ancestors, we sample and emulate what we want to create in order for us to be able to self-medicate. These are the drums of war. No longer can we continue to ignore the complete and utter disrespect, neglect of our own. We have to stand up and fight for ourselves alone. Quit letting other people of non-African descent speak on the predicaments that they put us in. Yes, someone is to blame. It will never end. Until we take over the game that we are born and designed to win, there's an army being built, and there's no room for mercy and or guilt. My people, pick up your weapons and arm yourselves with truth and knowledge of self. It's not about hatred. It's about putting European idolatries on the shelf. I'm telling you, the real revolution is coming. It's here in waves amidst the apparent centuries of continuous attacks of our destruction. I'm begging you to stop feeding into the lies and bullshit. It's us, our culture and lifestyle that they profit from for their cultures to retrofit. We have never been the kind to just lay down and die. It's time to take matters into our own hands and rise so fucking high. I'm talking sky high that they can no longer deny that we are the true kings and queens of everything. Stand with me because it's do or die. We can't afford to be their ally. No more of us just standing by. We must make them comply. Until all glory is restored from before, we can't play games anymore because this means war.
Man.
Yeah.
Salute to you, Miss Rochelle Bailey. I hope you see this at some point. Again, brother, you go ahead.
Yeah, you got some strong sisters on here tonight, right? Today, right? Dear Mama Africa, they coming through, right? I enjoyed that a lot. And, you know, she brought up Marcus Garvey. I'm a Garveyite, so that always catches my eye. But I don't know if anybody caught inside of there. She brought up Mavis Beacon. Do y'all know Mavis Beacon, right? Like, type it too. I got goosebumps. I grew up typing with Mavis Beacon. Like, that was just really, that was a treat for me in there. I love that we need to be the example, right? Because we're always talking about we're the ones we've been waiting for. So we got to start doing for self. Speaking on the Garvey theme of doing for self, right? And then she talked about knowledge of self. Like I think that that's the foundation. When you understand who you are, the places that you've been, and the things that you've done and contributed to humanity, there's no way that you carry yourself in a way that's demeaning to your ancestors and the people that helped you get here. When you understand the gravity of the situation, which what she was alluding to, that was another strong presentation, man. Hey, yeah. you might be like a poet agent or something, like you get you in the poet network.
Right.
Winning, man.
Yeah, I thought it was very appropriate, man, for this series that I'm running, and of course, by it being February, Black History Month. But you say it all the time. It's always Black History year round, and I think this is something that I strongly want to incorporate on my show, like every week. So I think I'm gonna keep it going. And salute to my brother Cedric, the Glad Life. I see you, brother. He's in the waiting room for us. He'll be blessing us with a piece at the end of the show. So just ride with us right now, brother. So again, Mr. Taylor, let's kind of get into it. One of the first things that I want to speak on is, why is it so important that we need to go back before slavery? And you just take the floor, man. Do what you do. Bless us, brother.
Yeah. I try to keep my comedy down. I think I'm funny, so
it's all good.
But I think you gotta go back before slavery, because let's just take a look at like the sister was talking about. What is our oppressor doing to us? Like, let's just look. Like, first thing, so I'm all over the place real quick, but John Henry Clark is my dude, right? That is like the historian that I really follow. But when he was young, he started with I won't go through that whole story, but he met with Arturo Schomburg, right? So if anybody's ever been to Harlem in New York, there's the Schomburg Library there, right? The Center for African Studies, really, the African diaspora, right? But Arturo Schomburg said to him at the time, he said, "Little Johnny, if you really want to understand your people, you got to study your oppressor first. So you need to go back and study their history and then figure out, why do they feel like it's so imperative that they erase you from history? What are they trying to hide?" But I always say, like, okay, I think that we got to start there, go get their history. But here in the United States, what are they doing to us and our children, right? And what they're doing is they're putting a frame on our brains to get us to see the world from a Eurocentric standpoint. And they're getting us to see us, the so-called African Americans, to see ourselves as nothing but the descendants of slaves. All the conversation is nothing but slavery till today, slavery till today, slavery till today. And what that does is it gives you a jaded sense of the situation, right? Because if all you understand is your people survived slavery, which, I don't disrespect the ancestors at all when I say that, because their strength is unbelievable. And I know I haven't gone through a 1,000th of what they endured, right? And I know I couldn't endure it. Like, we're just not built that way anymore. So I hate that conversation. I'm not my ancestors. I'm not my ancestors.
That's the thing, man. For me, it's crazy to imagine me. Like you said, I couldn't do it. I just can't even fathom what they went through. I mean, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, it's so, we get such a sanitized version of it now, right? I like to shock people when we go through our challenge, right? So I tell them during the challenge, I give them this movie to watch. It's called Goodbye, Uncle Tom. And most people's visual representation of slavery is Roots. And they're like, man, Roots is too tough. Oh my goodness. Listen. If Roots was too tough, you better watch Goodbye, Uncle Tom in 5-minute sessions, because you're going to have your therapist nearby, because this is raw and gritty, and it gives you a real understanding of what your people endured. And I know it's just a movie, and that's probably only 1/100th of what they actually went through. Not to mention the mental stress and the anxiety of every day growing up in that. Oh man, like, you don't get me fired up talking about that. Like, but it's unbelievable. So I hate that comment. I'm not my ancestors. You damn right you're not your ancestors, because you ain't got the 10th of the fortitude that they have. They had to have in order for you to still be here. So I say what I'm saying with much love and respect for the ancestors, But what's happening is they're getting us to see that we're just nothing but the descendants of slaves, and anything that we achieved after that is a blessing, and it's the height of your achievement. In fact, you were lucky that we pulled you out of the jungles of Africa to civilize you and give you an opportunity to grow up here in America, right? We're gonna put a pin in that. But the danger is you start to believe this nonsense. You start to believe the trash that they're saying, because they're framing your understanding of who you are on this planet and your contributions to humanity. John Henry Clark says, the African has been written out of the respectable commentary of history. This is the real issue and problem, because all of our achievements have been erased and we've been reduced to a people who have been subjugated. And the achievements that you've had since then are the height of your achievement. The height of your achievement. Barack Obama rises to become the first Black president of the United States. Kamala Harris becomes the first woman vice president of the United States. These are your mountains. These are your Mount Rushmores, right? But listen, you only see that as an achievement because you've been truncated from your history. When you go back beyond slavery, when you go back beyond the chasm, when you go back 30, 40,000 years ago, and you start to understand that people that look like me come from places that I came from, gave civilization to the world, gave language to the world, gave the sciences to the world, natural sciences to the world, architecture, engineering, arts. Did you know that math is the blackest thing ever, right? Like, when you go back and realize that the entire world is, everybody's winning because of your ancestors, and your ancestors get no credit, when you understand that, you realize that Barack Obama's achievement, as great as it is, and as articulate and intelligent as the brother is, and smooth, that's a molehill. That's not a mountain. We've actually fallen. We've fallen to this point. We didn't rise to this point. We've fallen to this point. But if you accept that you're nothing but the descendants of slaves, and the things that happen after that are just really good things that you've done, then you don't have that warrior spirit that the sister was just giving us that poetry about. You don't have that feeling that, no, we got to get back. We got to get back to where we were before this. So I feel like it's imperative to back the frame up, right? The picture, because we zoomed in on slavery and then today. That's all we are, is existing in this box. But when you back up and start to see what's really transpiring, when you start to really understand European history and what was going on during the Dark Ages, which is a lie. The ages was never dark. They just wasn't in control of everything. So they just decided, we're going to call this the Dark Ages, and we're not going to talk about anything in this time period. We're just going to skip over it. We're going to do the Greeks, the Romans, nothing really happened. King Ferdinand and Princess Isabella got together, the Christian Christopher Columbus, to sail west, and then we're going to pick up history from there. Do you know King Ferdinand and Princess Isabella got together they finally overthrew the Moors out of Spain, which the Moors ruled Europe, right? Southern Europe, and then Spain. And over the years, this started in 711 AD. 711 AD to 1491, the Moors were running Spain and Europe, right? That's what they call the Dark Ages. This is what the Inquisition and all of that stuff was about. They were fighting Black African people, but they frame it. They got you and your children running around with their costumes on, talking about this. You are literally killing yourself, right? But the Moors didn't just rule Europe or southern Spain. The Moors ruled from China, right? From China through India, throughout the so-called Middle East, Northern Africa, and Europe, right? None of this is discussed. Why is all of this left out? So the Moors finally was defeated. I'm fired up now, brother. So the Moors were finally defeated in 1491 at the Alhambra. The Alhambra is in southern Spain. It's in Granada. My dad and I took a trip in 2018 to Granada. And we were in the Alhambra, walking around, looking at this beautiful fort that was built in the 1200s, right? There is spectacular, right? Like, you gotta see it. Give you another reference. When the Moors ruled Europe. You can catch that on YouTube. When the Moors ruled Europe. Inside of this documentary, they go through this everything that I'm talking about. But you can see images inside the Alhambra. I was there. I got pictures. It will blow your mind. But the Moors are known for these spectacular patterns and things that they do, right? It's all mathematically based. Everything they did, the buildings, the layout, everything is based on mathematics. It was like one of the most enlightening experiences to ever have walking through this place. But if you go and you don't know the history and you're just listening to the guide, they're lying to you. They're making no reference of Black people. They're making no reference of Africans. They're making no reference to anything. All they're talking about is the Christian influence inside of here, because after they defeated the Moors, obviously they took over the fort and then they did some things to it, but that's all they talk about. If you don't know the history, these folks, they're not going to tell you. So when you have this understanding of history and then you come to the United States and you listen to this discussion about, again, the same 8 to 12 people every Black History Month, from kindergarten through 12th grade, they talk about the same damn people, right? And it's so frustrating because our history is so vast, it's so powerful, but they know they got to put you in this little box. Because if they don't put you in that little box, you're going to end up with more individuals like this sister talking about war, talking about, no, we need to get back what's due to us, right? Yeah, man. So that's why I think that it's important that we got to break the frame and break out of just talking about us post-slavery as if it doesn't matter, right? It does matter, because when your children gather this information, it's going to build their self-confidence, it's going to build their self-esteem, and it's going to let them know that they not only have a rightful place in this world, but this world is like it is because of people that look like them and come from places that they come from and that got that melanin in their skin, right? It's because of them. So not only do they have to try to fit into the world is theirs. And they have that different, they carry themselves differently. And confidence and self-esteem is the building blocks of success. Yeah. It doesn't matter the time period, it doesn't matter the field. If you're not confident, if you don't got a strong sense of self-esteem, you're going to, fall wayward. You're going to fall victim to influence and negative influences, and you're not going to push as hard in your genius, right? Yeah. So I think like those are some of the reasons, right? I can keep going, brother. If you want me to keep going, I can fire it up.
Absolutely. So, I mean, like I said, this is your show today. But one of the things, just out of time, also I wanted you to talk about some figures that you felt like you wanted to share. And then also, I'm looking forward to getting Asada on here, because you mentioned the math being the blackest thing ever. And I talked to Ms. Tomiko, and we're going to try to set that up. But if you can just kind of tie all that together, speak a little bit about the math being the blackest thing ever, and then talk about the figures, that you want to speak on as far as Black history.
Yeah, I love math is the blackest thing ever, because it really, okay, so I set this up this way. I was on a panel a week or two ago. Black History Month has been crazy, just talking everywhere. But we were on this Verizon panel. And of course, Verizon, they're interested in STEAM and all that good stuff, right? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And they were talking about inclusion, right? And it was like, well, how can we get more inclusion into the STEM field? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, right? How can we do this? And they're talking about mentorship and all of these wonderful ideas, right? And what I guess kind of grinds my gears about this inclusion is, if you were really trying to be inclusive, you would alter the education, because you know that when children grow up and see themselves reflected in what they're learning, then it alters them, it changes them. So if you want to change, and you're really talking about inclusion in these fields, engineering, arts, mathematics, science, technology, you got to get to the babies when they little, because by the third grade, they already know if you're on a trajectory to become an engineer or a doctor or get into high stakes chemistry and all of that stuff by the third grade. So if they were really serious, then you would, and this is to the parents, if you're really serious, then I would immediately start to teach my children about the origins of mathematics, because the origins of mathematics is the blackest thing ever. And that's really what we got behind with Sister Asada, the Black math genius. It's a history lesson while she's teaching comedic mathematics to children as young as 6 years old, right? So when you mix the history with it, when you start talking about the history, the mathematics of the Great Pyramids, and I let Sister Asada break it down, because she's the mathematician, and she's gonna blow your mind. But just that information. And when you talk about the Limbombo bone that goes back 40,000 years, which is known to be one of the first mathematical tools in existence, right? They're dating back to Black women tracking the moon, tracking their cycle, right? They knew this 40,000 years ago, right? This type of information is powerful to the children because they say, what? Like, we invented mathematics? And then you just build on that. Now you got a child that's like this in math class. They're involved, they're engaged. It does something differently to them. So if people are really serious about changing representation in these fields, you got to go get to the babies and get them interested and give them something that motivates them. Don't tell them about Pythagorean theorem. The Greeks did not invent mathematics or philosophy or any of that. And if anybody actually read the Greeks, they tell you they sat at the foot of the Africans and learned all this information. But here we go again, allowing our oppressors to just teach our children anything. Malcolm X talked about it, right? You a fool if you let your oppressor educate you, right? Now, I know everybody can't homeschool, even though COVID's given us a good angle at that, right? A good look at that. But you can supplement the teaching. You can't just blindly let your children go through the school system and think they're going to come out okay. It's not built for them, right? It's warping their perception. I want to read something to you real quick.
Absolutely, brother.
This is from a book called Kill Them Before They Grow, right? Michael Porter. And I think that this passage is really powerful. I've been making it the center of stuff I've been talking about lately. But it says, suppose that European American children from kindergarten to college graduate were never taught about King Ferdinand, Leonardo da Vinci, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Alexander the Great, Winston Churchill, King George, the Wright brothers, Christopher Columbus, Magellan, Alexander Graham Bell, George Washington, all the heroes of European history. How would they act? Suppose there were no European or American fairy tales, only African-American fables. How would they act? Suppose these white children from kindergarten to college were only taught about Menes, King Zoser, Thutmose III, Imhotep, Pharaoh Ramses, Akhenaten, Nefertiti, Sonia Ali Burr, Marcus Garvey, Elijah Muhammad, Martin Luther King, Winnie Mandela, Nelson Mandela, and other African heroes of the past and the present. How would these white children act? Right? First of all, white parents would lose their minds and get their children out of that school. But the reality is, this is what our children see each and every day. And they are not motivated by this information at all. It's no wonder they're detached. It's no wonder they're not enthused about learning. The environment doesn't feed their spirit. It doesn't build their culture. It doesn't build their understanding and appreciation of it. It doesn't build their self-confidence. It doesn't feed them. It's an alien culture to educate a people about somebody else and never educate them about themselves. It's just a really dangerous place to be. And I just really want to make sure we get out of it.
Absolutely. I mean, you're blowing us away with the jewels and the knowledge. And it's just so important to start early because it's a lot harder to get them involved later. And I think that's one of the things that people need to understand. And I have my 7-year-old son, and I plan on getting him on this and try to do 10 minutes a day, because that 5 minutes, the point behind that is it's really no time, but that's all it takes, so it's that type of situation where you just have to find that 5 minutes, man. So, it's definitely pertinent to bringing them up the right way.
Yeah, and the 5 minutes keeps this education away, but what our parents put now is 5 minutes plus when they do it. Because what you find is once these children get a little bit of spark, they don't want to stop. So you're not going to be able to do 5 minutes. That first day you do 5 minutes, it's going to turn into 10. Then come back, you're like, hey, we're just going to get our 5 minutes. It's going to be 15. And then you come back on 5 minutes. Now it's 20 because they're interested, right? You're not going to cut them off. If they're asking questions, y'all are looking things up and researching things. And I tell parents, you don't got to know everything. You don't got to know this stuff. Just sit down and learn with them. And the best thing you can do as a parent is play dumb and let your children educate you. And many of the times you might not be playing dumb, right?
Absolutely.
I know past me, I just started asking questions.
And it's a challenge thing too. It becomes like a challenge, when you don't know and you can't tell them and y'all are getting involved. I know I'm speaking from my own experience. I know how my son is going to do. He's going to want to find it first, and then feel good about himself for telling me,
Yeah.
and it just builds him in so many different ways. Yeah.
But look, think about what you're saying. That's now he's researching. So he's learning how to identify a problem. Now he's learning how to go find it, do the research, and now he wants to tell you about it. Now we're talking about presentation skills. Is he writing it? Is he giving it to you verbally? Both of them are fine. Both of them works on different things. Now he's working with his language, getting his wording together. And if he's going to speak it to you orally, now we're talking about self-confidence and speaking in public. Public speaking, I mean, right after confidence and self-esteem, for success in life, in professional sense, or even have an impact in the nonprofit sense, it's public speaking. You're going to have to learn to articulate verbally your words in order to galvanize people. So like all of these little lessons are centered around Black history, but you're doing so much more.
Yeah.
I think it's important and powerful.
It's that underlying thing that it's like they're getting something and don't even realize they're getting it. That's the really cool part about it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So share with us one of the figures that you find, or a couple other figures that you find most influential that you want other people to know about.
I spoke about John Henry Clark. So if y'all not familiar with Brother John Henry Clark, then please look him up. He's a historian. He dedicated his entire life to the African diaspora and uncovering the truth about our people. He was inspired because he grew up in the South, and one white teacher, they were doing some history and stuff, and he said after class he goes up and asks him, he said, sir, I'm looking for history on my people. Where my people at in this history? And he said, I'm sorry, little Johnny, you come from a people that don't have no history. And he just said, I just couldn't accept that. He said, I couldn't accept it. And I spent my life educating myself on the accomplishments and the contributions, the global contribution to humanity that Black or African people have made. And he really did that. And if you just Google his name, John Henry Clark, lecture after lecture, a pop-up, book after book, and you can read any one of them, listen to any one of them you can get your hands on. There's a 90-minute documentary narrated by Wesley Snipes called A Great and Mighty Walk that Dr. Clark does. It's when people tell me, I don't know where to start, and I'm interested in learning our history and culture. First, I say get the Black History flashcards, right? But I send people to this particular documentary. It's free on YouTube, A Great and Mighty Walk. It gives you a great overview of history, timeline of history, so that you can start to have an understanding and put things in place. But I love, honor, and respect the brother because he spent his lifetime trying to educate us. And that's something that I admire and I want to do. Another person I'll tell you about is O.W. Gurley, which I made reference to him, but you might not know his name, O.W. Gurley. But he's behind Black Wall Street. So we always talk about Black Wall Street, but we never really talk about who put it all together. Who was the mastermind? And it was this brother. O.W. Gurley in 1904, he was in oil, but he bought the 40 acres of land in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then parceled it out and sold it to Black people specifically in order to build that oasis, which is the thing that was going on at the time, because you think about segregation and, Jim Crow South and, Antebellum and all of this nonsense that was going on. We had to band together, which I think we should do again today. But he's the one that's behind it. And I find it really interesting that he bought the 40 acres because, again, in 1904, 1863, he was supposedly just freed as slaves and was promised 40 acres and a mule. But Andrew Jackson is the president that decided you're not going to get that 40 acres. And this brother actually bought his 40 acres and then he built that empire there, built that blueprint for us to get an opportunity to look back at again. And then I got another one, but I want to make mention because I brought up Andrew Jackson. I think it's so insulting that Harriet Tubman is being put on the $20 bill. I don't know if that thing passed. I think it's really sickening because it's a slap in the face because on the back of the $20 bill is going to be Andrew Jackson. So this woman spent her lifetime trying to get people free from slavery. And then on the back of it, you're going to put the man that denied you the 40 acres and a mule and your retribution that we were owed and due for the economic torture and encapturement of our people. And you're going to put that on the bill. And I listen to Black people telling me, Freddie, it's about inclusion. It's about inclusion. Little black girls gonna grow up and see her on that $20 bill. Then put it in the damn history and put it in the education. Don't tell me about no damn $20 bill. What we don't need is more pictures on the wall to feel like we belong to someplace. Let's put it in the chest. Let's put it in the hearts and the mind of the community, and then let them grow up to make the world a different place rather than just look like it. I can't stand inclusion. I can't stand it, especially if you're not going to include people into the history by actually telling the truth, right? I get fired up over that too.
It's all good. It's all good.
The last one, brother, I hit is Maggie Lena Walker. Maggie Lena Walker is the first woman to own a bank in the United States, and she's a black woman. But she didn't just own a bank. You know, she owned a newspaper. She owned department stores. She was a serious entrepreneur before, who do we most know? C.J. Walker gets most of that credibility. But look up Maggie Lena Walker. Her story is absolutely incredible.
Wow. That is amazing, man. And ironically, my man, Mr. Kenneth Morris, I had him on here like a couple weeks ago. He's a Navy veteran. He's a pilot and everything. I definitely want to get you guys hooked up. Y'all can make some great connections. But salute to him because he brought the first African-American lady to get her pilot license. He's a pilot, and it's Azalea White. And so we did some things with the kids and had a little workshop and stuff. He was giving knowledge, and she was right here in the city of Houston. And we didn't even know it, and she was still living. And there were some things about the story that were unbelievable. And so he was trying to get it known, and he went through a lot of little different things. And they send you around the loops, and then as soon as they found out, then they wanted to blow the whole situation up. But she had to go through this process of proving that situation. And man, when they figured it out, she got her just due. And so shout out to you, Kenneth. I see you're listening right now, man. He's commenting. So we'll talk later. But that was my little person that I wanted to put on Front Street this morning, Miss Azalea White, man. And it was just amazing, the information that he gave to us during that time. But this is what I call your commercial, man. So give us the commercial, how we can find you, the things, and also share what you can, and if you can, the upcoming things, what we can look forward to, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, I don't know why I had Suge Knight come to my mind, right?
Right.
If you tired of lies being spread inside of your history,
yeah,
come to Urban Intellectuals, right? You tired of Abraham Lincoln dancing through your history, right? I told you I think I'm funny, bro. So I mean, if you're ready to learn some fun and easy ways to learn Black history yourself and teach it to your children, and check us out at urbanintellectuals.com. Our main feature product is the Black History flashcards. There's 52 cards in each series. I got one back here somewhere. So it's like 52 cards in each series. And the front is picture information, and then there's bullet pointed information on the back. It's like 125 words on each card about a different person in history. Our first volume is volume 1 is women, men, and historical events. Volume 2 is all Black women, so it's 52 Black women, and all of this stuff is like off the beaten path, right? Because again, you get the same 8 to 12 people every year. Like there's no need to really reiterate and talk about those people.
Right.
Volume 3 is a STEAM series: science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Volume 4 is a before 1492 series. So we start about 35,000 years ago. It comes up to 1492. And then volume 5 is an Afro-Latin and Afro-Caribbean series. So our aim is to show the African diaspora all around the globe and to start tying our stories together so that we can start connecting, knowing more about one another and bringing one another together. And we have a bunch of other products and services as well inside of Urban Intellectuals. But again, the Sankofa Club is where we take things a step further. But that focuses specifically on children ages 3 through 12 for now. But we have daily Black history classes taught Monday through Friday inside of the Sankofa Club. But once you become a member, you gain access to the archives. So if you're looking for the 5 minutes a day we definitely have that information already laid out for you, along with some engaging activities and puzzles and brain teasers and things that go along with that as well. But basically, we are making it fun and easy to learn Black history. We've got a social network inside of sankofaclub.com. So when you join, we can keep the conversation going, because we're trying to get off of Facebook, off of Instagram, and we're trying to control the platform. I'm a Garveyite, right? So it's all about self-sufficiency and ownership. Like, you can't kick me off the platform if we own it, right? But but if I'm Minister Farrakhan saying something that somebody don't like on the Facebook platform, they decide to shut you down. There's nothing you could do. You're in their sandbox. So we're building our own sandbox. Like the minister is doing, by the way, with his materials. I think it's a great idea. I mean, Garvey got it right, man. Garvey got it right. Self-sufficiency is what we got to do. And it's not about attacking anybody else. Black power isn't about attacking anyone like white power is, right? That's an attack formation. Black power is just about self-sufficiency. It's about doing for self. It's about hiring ourselves, shopping inside of our community, spending money inside of our community, and being stakeholders to raise up one another. So Sankofa Club and Urban Intellectuals, we're building that community of parents that want to be the change instead of talk about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. It's amazing. And I mean, everybody that's listening will listen later, man. Definitely tap in. I appreciate you opening the door, and y'all did it very swiftly, and I plan on spending some time this weekend with my son and just show him all the little different things and figure out what he gravitates to, and I figured that'll be really fun. So we reached the point. I want to take another pause. I want to bring on my brother, Mr. Cedric, of the Glad Life is his brand and his label, and let him spit some of his poetry. And what we'll do is get him on the screen, and then when we finish, we'll close out, with whatever closing remarks that you may have. Let's see. And Cedric is here. Yes, sir. How's it going, brother?
Good morning. Thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it, and I'm loving the talk. It's very, very enlightening. It's very it actually broadens my mind to look at things a little bit different. We come from a different aspect, but I love to hear, people's insights and how we can all grow together to make the changes that we actually need to make in this world. So thank you for being so knowledgeable about this information.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I mean, he just spit it like it's nothing, man. It's like it take us decades to try to get there. But Cedric, so, and again, just like I was telling everybody else, man, I put up a post seeking some poets to come and spit some pieces on Black history, and you responded, and here we are, so I want to say big ups to you for, just taking that step forward, man. You just don't understand. This is what I didn't say. Some people, I ain't gonna say you don't understand, but just the point of people don't really understand the smallest things take things a long way. And that's tied behind the name of my show, The Reach. I appreciate you allowing my reach to go even further than what it's been from week to week. And it just means a lot. So, just to not even know you and now we're connected, and it just means everything to me. So let the audience know a little bit about you, in whatever aspect you want, and then, talk about your pieces.
Okay. Well, first say about myself, I live up here in LA. The name of my channel is Cedric the Glad Life, and that the reason it's called because I'm on a journey called A Journey to My Glad Life. I've actually doing things a little bit differently from a motivational speaker aspect, where I've taken the initiative to show my own personal transformation to the world. You know what? We get a lot of great motivational speakers out there and not dismissing what they've actually gone through, but they talk about their journey. And what I wanted to do is to show people the journey that it actually goes to go from, and I'm very open about it, going from having an addiction, being a functioning addict, to being sober and being one of the greatest motivational speakers, to be able to help people tap in to themselves so that they know that they can overcome any sort of obstacle that they actually go through, because it's all about connecting. For me, it's connecting with my soul, with my spirit, which has helped me become the person that I'm actually becoming. So the Glad Life is about a movement I'm creating, that I'm trying to inspire others to get on that journey to their happiness. That's what the Glad Life is about: living your truth, living who you are from a soul. So I love what you're talking about, being molded by society. It's because we have to break those masks, because I know that was one of the things about myself. And the piece that I actually I brought on, and it's really interesting about what you guys are actually talking about, being a Black History Month. And mine is talking about Black History Month, but why is it just 1 month? Because that's one of the most important things that we actually have is if you're actually going to make any type of change, it starts from the core. It starts from educating people the entire year. Don't be selective and give a race a month or give a race a day. Be inclusive. I don't like the word, but be inclusive where, it's going to be equal out throughout the entire year, the total history. So you're not brainwashed to only think about this side of the history. You got to see the whole perspective so you can be able to, so everyone can feel part of this country here. So.
Absolutely. Hey, and I just got to crack a quick joke, and it's not joking, but just jokingly speaking, we got us another doer here, Mr. Freddie. He's, we were talking about that earlier. I don't know if you were on, but at first at that point, but we we're just talking about, man, what do we tell people that have something inside of them? And it's just go do it, man. You're creating a movement. And I love that you're showing your personal experience, because that is exactly what my nonprofit is about. Growing up without my dad, and let it be known now, we're close as we've ever been in life, but it started out talking about the separation and the void that we have. So, people have seen that journey, man, and seen that, man, look, it's like we just jumping back in, and you have to be open to it. You have to be open to that part of the process, man. So big salutes to you. I just wanted to throw that in. You're a doer, man. You're a doer.
Yeah, I am. I'm connected to my spirit, and I'm very God-driven. And it's interesting about what I'm actually doing, because when you hear this poem, first and foremost, I write like that. I wrote this poem yesterday, and January 13th, I sit and I do when I wake up in the morning, I pray, I meditate. Now I'm actually reading the Bible. I'm studying all the faiths, so I can actually have an understanding of everything here. And on January 13th, I got a very strong urge that I had to start writing. I had to, and I literally said, I got to start doing spoken word. January 13th, I started, I'm filling up a book of poetry right now, and I've actually already released 3 spoken words on my channel. And I release them weekly now. And it's something because I listen to what God actually wants to speak his message through me. And that's how I do. So it's about taking action, because when you sit and you don't take action, you stay stuck in the same place where you've always been. So yeah, absolutely. I've been like doing.
Yeah. Blessings to you, man. Go ahead and bless us.
All right. So this one is called Black History Month. Black History Month. Black History Month is here. Yup, you heard right. It only comes once a year. All the blood, sweat, and tears, we are only recognized once a month, once a year. I think it's time to give the props to all the people who are not taught throughout the year, or maybe not even given a chance for people to hear the contribution they made to helping this awesome country become so great. Well, maybe not great until we recognize all the lives who matter, who did their part, regardless of it being taught in class or written in a book that lasts. So many races not told at all, when we live in a country which was created for all men and all women, whether you're Black or white, Hispanic or Asians, all the races in sight. You see, we come in all shapes and sizes, genders and sexuality. It's the contribution we give that matters. And best believe that's all God sees. It's time for total equality. Come one, come on. Because if we don't, this country will surely fall. You see, we really do have the potential to be a nation so great, it will have to start by stomping out all of the hate. When we live this way, we will finally be free, because the truth be told, we need unity. So let's stop the madness. Let's set us free. Let's come together and unify our humanity.
Good job, brother. Good job. Good job. Good job.
The music, I have to give the props to my music guy, Solo Music. He does all the music for me. I sent this piece over to him at 4 p.m. and by 6 p.m. he actually had already laid down some tracks that I thought was absolutely an inspiration. Mo Better Blues.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mr. Freddie, what do you have for him, sir?
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. I loved it a lot. What stood out to me was towards the end, you started talking about stomping out the hate, and I mean that's something that I feel like history is the element that's doing it. So I love that you're talking about expanding Black history all year, right, and infusing it into the culture, infusing it into the educational system, because this is something that we talk about as well, like. Unless white people, Asian people, German people, all these people grow up understanding the global contributions of African people on the diaspora, then it's really still creating division, right? Because all they know is the lies from propaganda from the movies and the television. We pimps and thugs and hoes and all of that, but you're not talking about the history that we've contributed so much. So I think that's a really important piece and part, man. So I appreciate it, all of that, really.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I loved it. I heard like a transition. You started off talking about the Black history, and then you went into why it's so important. And then, you know what? Hey, if y'all recognize us, then we all become one, which is really what it's all about at the end. And so, like he said, stomping out that hate, that's what it's all about, and these are things that are learned, and so if we learn things the correct way, it wouldn't be an issue, so man, I definitely appreciate that, man. And, today is actually the first day that I'm having poets on. And I think, everybody that comes behind y'all, man, are going to have, gonna have to come with it. You know what I'm saying? And so, I appreciate you closing out the show with it. And we'll talk more just out of respect of time. I want to give them a chance to say whatever closing remarks we have. But did you want to leave us with anything said? Matter of fact, go ahead and tell the people how to find you, how to follow you really quick.
Yeah, you can actually find me. I got a YouTube channel. I put up motivational speaking and spoken word. It's called The Glad Life on YouTube, and on Instagram, it's called Cedric The Glad Life. You can follow me on there, and then on Facebook, it's just The Glad Life. That's the page as well. So you can find me on all three of those socials. And I just really thank you for giving me the opportunity. This is the very first time I've actually performed live spoken word. So I really thank you for letting me actually do this.
Absolutely, man. You did a great job, and it's only going to get better. And I appreciate you again, just, taking the initiative to come onto the show, man, and taking your time. And you're in Cali, so you're 2 hours behind me, so it's still a little early out there, but you were ready to go, man. So I appreciate it, man. And you just never know what God going to bring us to the table. So definitely going to look you up if I'm ever in the area, man.
All right. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. I really appreciate you.
All right. Have a great one.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Really cool, brother, man.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just happy that we were able to get that part really handled today, and I'm looking forward to keeping this going, man. So but yeah, so we have a few minutes left, Mr. Taylor. What are some closing remarks, or what would you want to share before we have to get off the line?
All right, in a few minutes, I'll just reiterate that Black history is world history. And it really undertones what the brother was just talking about. Everybody needs to understand the global contributions of African people to civilization, to humanity. I think that goes along when you know and respect someone's culture and their history, you have a stronger affinity towards them, and then the relationship is better. This is why when you talk to Black people or African Americans or talking about international travel, the first place they want to go is Rome. They want to go to Europe. They want to go to Paris, Leaning Tower, Pisa, all of this because we have an affinity and appreciation for their history and their culture, because it was jammed down our throats ever since you sat down in school for that first day, that seed of trouble that Carter G. Woodson talks about. So why not take this same concept and teach all of the history to everyone, so that people will have a better understanding and a respect for Africans on this planet, or Africans in the diaspora, that they'll, instead of fearing them, they'll have some affinity for the people and their contributions to humanity. And I need that to start with us, right? We need to start learning our history and our culture so that we respect one another and learn more about each other and bring us together. We like to say we're changing the world. Anybody who, we're just naive enough to believe that we can change the world. And if anybody's trying to talk us out of that, save your breath and let us remain delusional as we do this work that we think is necessary. So I appreciate you, brother, for having me today and allowing me to.
Hey, man, you've blown us away. I really appreciate it. For everybody who's watching, you can look at the bottom of the screen, follow him on Facebook and IG at Urban Intellectuals. Go visit the websites, which is www.urbanintellectuals.com and www.sankofaclub.com, and just get connected, man. I mean, way more information than what we're getting today, you know, and it's just nonstop. And the whole idea, I think, is very important. Jam it down our throats, you know, as much as you can, because we're getting all this miseducation, and it's important that, you know, there's nothing wrong with taking a step back and realizing, hey, I've been doing this wrong, you know, let me get it right. You know, that's kind of what I grasp from this whole idea. In short, is like, you know what, let me go back and get it right, you know, and get the information we need. The other thing for me that I take away is that going back before slavery. You know, that was the important thing that I wanted people to understand, man, because you're right. You know, I like how you did that earlier. You know, it's slavery and then now, slavery and then now, and that's the box that they have us in, you know. And I mean, it's so much beyond that, you know, and it all leads up to where we are now. And, you know, the Black Wall Street thing, how they try to take over ownership is very, very, very important, brother. So man, keep doing what you're doing, man. They can't stop you. Like you say, when you own it, they can't stop you. There's nothing they can do about it. You know, they can't take your mind from you. You know, that's the one thing. And you're the epitome of that. When I've had my grandmother tell me that, my mom tell me that, they cannot take your mind. And so you are that walking mind. That's what I see when I'm looking at you and when I hear you talking, is they can't take your mind from you, you know. So when you grasp it and you get it inside of you, there's nothing they can do about it. You know, so I definitely appreciate you being on the show. So for everybody that's been listening, you can also go and catch the playback. We definitely want you guys to go back and watch this, catch some things that you may have missed by chance, and just get connected with the Sankofa Club and the Urban Intellectuals. Also, go and like the Reach Podcast Show YouTube page, like and subscribe and share, and stay connected with us. Go back and view all of the shows that have been put up, because the whole collection, since I've started from day one, while we started this show, everything is there. And, you know, we're going to keep this thing going. And I'm looking to circle back to Urban Intellectuals at some point. You know, we make it make more sense, but this is Black History Month, so I think it was important to have you on. And then also we're going to get with your sister, say the name, Asada. Yeah, Sister Asada with Math is the Blackest Thing Ever. You know, that's going to be a great show too. And shout out to Miss Tamiko, man, for making this happen and connecting the dots. So, you know, with if you don't have anything else, man, I appreciate you, and go do what you do, brother. Keep being great.
Yes, sir. You do the same, man. Thank you for having me, brother. I appreciate
it. Absolutely. And so, guys, this is the Reach Podcast Show, where every show reaches beyond the ears of the listeners. You guys stay connected. Next week, we have another great guest that's coming on, and some more poets that are going to share their pieces with us. And just look for this thing to keep vibing out and rocking out with these great poets and these great guests. And shout out to everybody. Y'all have a great week and a great weekend. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in. All right.